Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Women Who Rock with Success, which is an award-winning show for professional women. We profile a collective of amazing women who are thriving to build their brand. Women are handpicked in various fields who can provide credible information to build your business and lifestyle. We are live each Thursday at 9 a.m. Central Time, followed by our latest brand, Women Who Rock Investigates. To learn more about us, go to our website at www.womenwhorockwithsuccess.com. Now, let's join our podcast host in the studio, Mrs. Diane Winbush.
And good morning, everyone, and welcome to the show. This is our second segment for today, and we thank you so much for tuning in and rejoining us on our second episode. This is your show host, Ms. Diane Winbush. And so today we will be talking to a film director and screenwriter that's in the studio with us today, and she is none other than Miss Leslie Ann Coles. So good morning and welcome to Women Who Rock with Success Media.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
Absolutely. So let's get a little bit about you. I guess starting off, and what kind of geared you or thrived you into becoming a screenwriter and also a producer and film director as well. So share a little bit about you and your career with the audience.
Yes. Well, I am a screenwriter and filmmaker, but I also run the Female Eye Film Festival, and that is celebrating its 20th anniversary edition, June 9th to the 12th at TIFF Lightbox. So we show films directed by women from around the world, and it started back in 2001 when I was a filmmaker attending international film festivals with my debut film, and I noticed there weren't a lot of women at these events.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been kind of exciting, and the fact that we're 20 years strong is kind of incredible. I'm sort of pinching myself, but it's been a lot. You know, there's been a lot going on with the industry and changes in the industry and more equity, not just for women but for racialized minorities. So that's been a huge. So I'm also an advocate and a strong voice for underrepresented filmmakers, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's sort of my legacy. That I am in production with a short film that was funded by Canada Council and the Ontario Arts Council. It's going to be a 20-minute film titled The Curtain, and I'm going back into production following this iteration of the film festival.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So thank you for that. Thank you for that introduction of a little bit about what you do and who you are. For the month of March and February, Black History Month, and I think for the Women Month, which was in the month of March, we kind of celebrated a lot of impactful women. And several of them came from the same type of field, such as yourself, working in film industry. But the key component that kind of ties you all together was the fact that all of you all, it's some of the films were based, trying to send a message to the minority communities as well, and then to be able to send a strong message to, into reality of those types of communities, which that is something that is so, so wonderful. And so thank you so much for your service. So the name, The Female Eye, so talk to us a little bit about that. I know that you just shared just a minute ago that, everything is not kind of based around women, but some female too. So kind of share a little bit about that as to the title and the topic of that title, The Female Eye Film Festival.
That's correct. And you'll love our tagline, always honest, not always pretty. And that grew out of my experience of looking at the films that were coming to the festival year after year. And there's a bit of a stereotype that women create, light, frothy kind of female sort of chick flick. So when we first started the festival in the early years, there was this kind of idea floating around that women created films just for women audiences. So it would be like, it would be equivalent, it would be really honestly equivalent to saying that, men show films, directed by men for men. And so there was this bit of a stereotype or stigma that if a film was created by a woman, written and directed by a woman, that it was a chick flick, basically. So we worked really hard in the first decade of the festival to really dispel that myth, that stereotype. And so one of the programs that's become really popular at the festival, believe it or not, is the Friday and Saturday night late night thrills and chills program. So we show films that are suspense, thriller, some are pretty frightening films at the festival in the evening. So that's kind of cool. Okay. And we have galas, and we have great script development program that's open to men and women. We wanted to include men, so we didn't want to have an organization that was at the exclusion of men. That was never the vision of the female eye. To show films directed by women, yes, because they're underrepresented, but certainly not to say, hey, you know what, we're not gonna include men. That would be foolish,
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it appears that you certainly have already built some milestones, Leslie, with the Female Eye Film Festival. So kind of tell us a little bit, how has that been rewarding for you down through the years? This is a milestone, and it's turning into absolutely a legacy. It's kind of, we still hear about the Warner Brothers, and we still hear about other, MGM studios and what have you. But, it seems like where you're going, it's going to, result into a long-term legacy. So how has that been, rewarding for you down through the years?
Well, I'll tell you, it's a blessing in that I've really become sort of really familiar with the industry and the way it works from the top down. We really support independent filmmakers. In Canada, in particular, we don't have a studio system. We have independent filmmakers who raise money for their films through public funders. It's a unique system. So basically, our government takes tax money from everybody who works in the country outside of the cultural sector and within, and they take their money and they put it in a fund for arts and culture. And so in film, the Telefilm Canada and Ontario Creates and the CMF, Canadian Media Fund, support the production of film and IDMs and, television. And so they get behind it. And there's great tax incentives for producers and filmmakers to make films because you can recoup a lot of the money you invest through the tax credit system. So that's unique to Canada. But we all, everybody goes to the same funders. So it's very competitive. They're very competitive funds. And unfortunately, ironically, the United States and Canada, even though we're brothers and sisters, we don't have a co-production treaty between our countries. So Canada has co-production treaties with pretty much 52 countries around the world, but we do not have a co-production treaty with America, meaning that an American filmmaker or producer could come here and say, hey, I've got a really great project. And we have screenwriters coming from America and filmmakers as well, joining us at the festival June 9th to the 12th. But we don't really have opportunities for production collaborations between our two countries because it's not baked into our funding, like our funding mandates and so on. So I find that odd, actually. Despite that, there's great collaborations between America and Canada when it involves big studios like Netflix opened up here, Amazon opened up here. We have snowbirds in Canada. We refer to them as snowbirds, and they have companies in both America and Canada. So they do business on both sides of the border. So it's just interesting. It's a very different kind of structure here in terms of how things get created and made. And yeah, so I don't know if I answered your question, actually. I probably went off on a tangent. Did I?
No, you're fine. You're fine, because it's so interesting, because that was going to be the question, actually, Leslie. That was going to be my next question, and you already answered it before. You answered a two-pronged question, and that was great, because I was going to ask in regards to the I guess the diversity between, or the difference between the Canadian film industry as well as the U.S. film industry, and how they perhaps maybe try to, do they commingle or what have you, and what's the difference? Because that's what we've been having recently, is basically international film producers and what have you. And so I was like, okay, is America, kind of being supported in that area? Because it seems like it's growing. It's a growing trend on an international basis as well, especially British, UK. These people are coming out with their, streaming and what have you. They're coming out with these films. And I'm like, it's going to kind of basically take over the U.S. If they don't beat their game up, because they are interesting stories, Leslie. Okay, so we had one that was on here, I think it was in March, and it was Funds to Grave, and every film director that has been on the show this year, it sends a powerful message, and I think that's where perhaps maybe the international film directors, I'm sorry to say that because I'm an American, but I'm sorry to say the international film directors are going to be able to touch the heart of Americans more. I'm just I don't know. I'm just putting that out there, because what I've been seeing and hearing, and the books and things, and the film releases, I'm like, wait a minute, these things are to heart, because we have to be concerned and be in consideration also as to the lifestyle of people, the ethnicities, the cultures. We have to be sensitive to everybody's type of backgrounds, and I just love it.
I agree.
For the things of I love humble women. I love it. I love what you all are doing. And I'm like, United States, you better tighten your game up, because it seems like these film directors, they're coming in with full force, because it's something different in the 21st century. I'm serious. It is something
absolutely.
It's something
absolutely.
totally different. So if you would, we would like to hear about this next pre-production that you got coming out, called The Love at Cliff's Edge. So we want you to kind of share some of the highlights and takeaways, little nuggets of that as well, if you would. I know it came to post-production, or I guess the full production phase yet, but if you would be willing to share a little bit about that.
Okay, sorry, which title, which project?
The project is The Love at Cliff's Edge. It's a pre-production that they have that's listed under your name. Yes, ma'am.
What? I'm doing something. I don't know.
I think that one of the stars is Gertrude. Yes, ma'am. It's under you. Yes, one of the stars is Gertrude Edwards.
Oh yeah. I can't really talk about that project right now.
Okay.
Sorry,
okay,
but we can talk about. No, I can't really talk about that right now. That's because on the IMDb, right? Okay, so I think this is the thing where my world gets confused. So I'm a hyphenate, like a lot of people who work in the industry. So I'm an actress, I'm a screenwriter, I'm a filmmaker, I produce, and I run the Female Film Festival. I know. My back hurts just thinking about it, to tell you the truth. So I do a lot. And during the pandemic, I certainly dug back into my creative work. So I just made up my mind that I needed to write and I needed to direct my own work. So I wrote a short film that was inspired by a one-star motel that ended up getting demolished before I went to camera, believe it or not, and I had to scramble to find a new location. And it's called The Curtain. So that is the project that I'm specifically working on right now and finishing. Other than the female IN, I wrote a Western, a female-driven Western set in 1873 called Soiled Dove that won 12 international screenwriting awards. And I'm hoping to get that in production. And Telefilm Canada actually supported the script development of that. And another feature I'm penning titled Love in Vain, based on a story that came to me from the U.S. So those are two projects I'm working on as a creator, like a writer-director. And the other projects I'll be acting in. I'll be performing in as an actor member. So that's why it gets confused. I'm really curious to check out what you're talking about. I'm thinking something's going on that I don't know about. Maybe my agent knows, but I don't know what's going on. That's how busy I am. I'm just losing my mind. I can't keep track of everything right now.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
It's under your filmography page. Yes, ma'am. It's under that. So, I mean, we don't want to discuss because there may be disclaimers attached to that, and so we don't want to discuss it. We want to protect whatever rights, that is associated with it. Right. But I was like, okay, this lady is moving. She doesn't move from RoboCop and all of these other things. And I'm like, okay.
Yes, that's true. So I did those things.
So I love it.
I admit to it. Yeah.
Yes, I love it when women can keep it moving forward. I really do, because there are so many challenges that women face. They go through a lot of things. On the show we have different types of women that comes on the show. One lady, she comes in and she, she gets fired off of her corporate America job, and then now she's landed a position on her own, and she has a 7-digit annual income, and so that stuff like that amazes me. I really love it.
Wow.
So, and she got fired, and so she shared with us is Heather Monahan. I think that's, if I'm pronouncing that right, is she was one of our cover photo magazines back in 2014 or something like that. But she did. It just livid. She was livid, and then once she got up and she dusted herself off. And once she dusted herself off, now that lady is gone, and I think one of her slogans is "Boss in Heels." So now she's the boss, until her boss terminating her. So she's the boss.
I love it.
Exactly.
I absolutely love it. That's great.
Exactly. And so another one that we had. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Leslie. I'm sorry.
No. I'm fascinated by this. No. Please tell me. I am completely.
And so we had another one.
Fascinated.
She was an NBC. She was an NBC producer. And so, of course, when the 2008 economic crash kind of hit, everybody was downsizing, even the news media, the production, the broadcasting media, all of it. And so she got terminated. And now she turned around and she said, no, I can't do this. She went in and she flipped it. And so I'm no longer a producer, but I can do something. And so she has her own coaching business as well. And then she also kind of helped other people with, master classes and training and media, producing film and all of those types of things. So those are the types I love talking to women that are humble. They have went through challenges, and then they said, look, I'm not going to stay there. I'm going to get up. It doesn't matter. You fire me, I'm going to keep moving. So I love it. I really do. So we want to talk about also, Leslie, real briefly, with in regards, you're coming up to the 20-year anniversary. I mean, that's a long time. That's, it takes a while for us to even keep a lot of things going for even 60 days, but 20 years.
No. Tell me about it. Listen, I woke up and I said to myself, I'm 20 years older. That's the thing that hit me the hardest, was that. It was just like, wow, I'm 20 years older. That's what the 20th anniversary did. I went, I can't believe 20 years have gone by. Wow. It just blows my mind. But that put the fire under me. That's where I just said, okay, you know what? I got stuff to do. I have more to do. I guess, time is an interesting thing, It makes us sort of look at and say, wow, we gotta, I don't know, we just gotta keep going and doing. And life, I think of it as wide but short. It's life is wide but short. There's a lot to do, but there's, so that's
and I
what
think
hit
too,
me.
Leslie.
Anniversary.
Yes,
Yep.
I think also too, Leslie, it's an impact. I think you are making an impact. So take, for instance, if someone else, some of the other film directors that we may have had on the show previously. Okay, we've been doing this 5 or 10 years, but now we can watch her model. We can watch the model of Leslie Ann Coles. We can see how she has triumphed over whatever it is that she had to go through, because I'm pretty sure when you're working with film, you're working with people, casting, and all of these other things. It can be challenges throughout the year. You have some bumps, you have some falls, you have some people say yes, some people say no, some people say I'm going to walk away, and then you have some indiscretions and what have you. But this can also be a model as well where people can be able to look up to you, which is going to be the next question that I would like to ask from you. Is if you would share with the audience, were there any type of mentors that perhaps maybe helped you or inspired you along the way? We're not talking about right now. I've looked at your filmography and things. I don't think you need any mentors. But I'm talking about when you first got started. Was there any ones who inspired you to be able to continue to keep you motivated? Yes, ma'am.
Well, it's interesting. What keeps me motivated? Other creators, other creative people, other people who are creating content. That inspires me. I think it takes tenacity, and you have to have a thick skin to work in this industry or any creative industry, because you can take a lot of hits. You deal with a lot of rejection. You deal with, how many times have we heard stories of great films or great projects that have come out, they appear to have come out of nowhere, overnight success. In fact, when you hear the people talk about the production, they'll say it took 10 years or 20 years to make this. Nobody believed in it. Nobody wanted it. It wasn't its right time. It was ahead of its time. So, I think you have to have a thick skin. I think that's helped me. I am one of the most tenacious women, apparently, according to people who know me. I'm pretty tenacious and determined. And when I set my mind to something, like a lot of women, we don't let go easily. We're a little bit like Rottweilers. I don't mean to offend anyone out there who owns a Rottweiler, but we do tend to sink our teeth in and we really commit ourselves to things that we care about. So I think, the people who inspired me actually at an early age, my mother, for sure, and I had some really great teachers, believe it or not, in grade school who recognized that I couldn't sit still in a classroom, that I had a creative spirit, and they saw that and they encouraged that. So while other kids were sitting in their classroom tending to the chalkboard, I was running around making up plays and then knocking on all the classroom doors in the school, disrupting every class, and then performing my plays and my performances, often recruiting other actors along the way. And then I continued that through high school. So I think my mother recognized that I had difficulties and I was a disruption in the classroom. And she was encouraged by my teachers at the time that they could put Leslie into dance, theater, anything. Get her out of the classroom, put her in the weekends, make sure she's busy and active. And my mother, God bless her, she's still with us. She really kept me in the arts from a very young age and never told me I couldn't do anything. My father passed, but my mother and my father never told me I couldn't do anything. I could go to them and say, I'm going to go to the moon now and become an astronaut. And they would say, okay, good, you go and do that, Leslie Ann. Like, there was never any, I never felt there was any limitation to what I could do or anyone could do if you wanted it, if you wanted to do it. And I think those were made huge impressions on me that continue to this day.
Absolutely. That is wonderful, especially when you have your relatives there, doing, backing. And so that from your story that you shared with your parents, it kind of tells me, too, that your parents foresaw some things. They foresaw it, and that's the reason why they continue to push and thrive. They foresaw some things from the beginning. Not trying to get religious here, but I'm just saying they foresaw some things.
No, it's true.
As to what perhaps maybe have, we see this. Sometimes parents don't share dreams and affirmations with their children, not all the time, but it was something they had to have seen in order for them to continue to thrive you the way that they did, push you. Okay, if you want to be an astronaut, go ahead. If you want to go to the top of the moon, they knew that you had the package that was on the inside of you to be able to complete what it is that you needed to do, to fulfill whatever it was. They knew that the package was down on the inside. It was already downloaded. So that's the reason why they not only did they actually light the torch for you, but they held it for you. Okay, I'm going to move on to something else. Okay.
They did.
So absolutely.
They did. No, but that's well said. Well
they
said.
lit it.
Yes,
they lit the torch for you,
I think,
and then they held your arms up too.
They did, and they held their arms up. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, and I really think that it's important as people that we do that we are encouraging and supportive of each other and the young people coming up to let them know that they can, whether it's in the arts or other areas, that they can make a difference and that they can do it. I just take one person. My mentors or people that encouraged me were my grade school teachers,
Okay.
So that's interesting. That goes back a ways.
From your story, just from what your story, these parents they was like, okay, then we see what this child has right here. This child has something different on the inside, meaning it wasn't any different from the rest of your siblings if you had to have siblings or what have you. But, it's like, dreams and affirmations may come and the parents will see it and they will see it. They may not, I'm from the older school generation back in the 70s and early, late 60s. And so with that, parents didn't really just, open up their mouths and just share a whole lot. But what they did, they took what they knew and then they said, okay, then, this, we want you to go this way, without them even trying to put you on a pedestal as a child. But what we're going to do is, you think you can go in there and swim the 7 seas? Okay, go ahead. That's what they thought. They thought that this child that we have, she can do this, and we're going to push her to the highest. And that's the reason why I feel that your legacy continues. It's not only I'm telling you, I'm going to get off course here. It's not only the female iFilm Festival, but it's the legacy of what your parents have pushed and installed, deposited, and downloaded on the inside of you that continues to keep, it's like a little wheel that's turning and things. It turns, it keeps turning, and so it keeps turning because of what they have deposited on the inside. And so whatever it is that torch that they lit for you years prior, you won't let it die. And that's the reason why you're so energetic.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm just talking.
No, that's great. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a big, huge part of it. Yeah. I feel blessed in that regard.
Absolutely. So what are some of the long terms for you, Leslie? Which going to be the last question. We're going to get ready to wrap this interview up. What are some of the long terms that you would like to fulfill? I know it's not just for women, it's for men as well, but of course the primary, thing is women. perhaps, but what would be one of your long-term goals for the film production industry that you have? What is one of the long-term goals? I know that your parents already have went in and they've laid the groundwork, basically. And so what are some of the long-term goals for the film industry? What would you like to see that you would like to see for women as to how they would perceive and also, you know, view your message even later on, you know, as things change? We got things change all the time. We got money changing, we got cryptocurrency, we got everything going on. Go ahead. Okay.
I know. It's confusing. I would say what I would like to see is in the future, and I would love to be a part of it, would be to see more mentoring of girls and women and underprivileged women and girls who have stories to tell, and see them making film. And, you know, I think still when we imagine a director, if we close our eyes, I bet you most of us still see a man standing behind a camera. And so I hope that that changes and that we see, you know, more diversity in terms of voices and storytelling, and that the table, you know, if there's not enough room for women at the table, that we just keep building a bigger table. We'll just keep building a longer table. Okay. So I mean, I certainly hope to be involved in the producing other women's stories. Actually, for myself, my vision is that I have a good, you know, 20 or 30 years where I can actually help with the production of other people's stories that I am equally passionate about. Even if I didn't create it, it came to me, that I'd like to be able to help facilitate that. And I hope that the young women who are working with me on the festival now will take it over, and that the legacy of the Female Eye Film Festival will continue even when I'm no longer a part of it. That's my greatest hope for the future, is that the festival will live on, and that it will be younger women on the forefront, on the front lines, steering it into the future.
Okay, that's wonderful. Okay, so before we allow you to be able to share with the guests, of course, we don't want, we want the audience to make sure that we clarify. So you are Ontario. It's Ontario, Canada, because I want to make sure that we are reviewing your information right as a filmography. You got a lot of lineup, and so that's where we got the information as the Love at Cliff's Edge. That's the post-production. It's a pre-production, actually. So I just wanted to make sure and wanted to clarify.
Go look at that. I'm telling you, I got to go look at that. I'm going to ask Sasha to email you and ask me, because I know I was asked if I would be on this particular film. And so it's not in production yet. I'm pretty sure it's that project. Anyway, what was your question? Okay. Sorry. No, I just wanted to be able to share with the audience and things. And so in case if they go in and Toronto, Canada, Toronto, Ontario. Toronto's in Canada, so really more accurately I would say Toronto. The festival takes place in Toronto at FeFF Lightbox, June 9th to the 12th. Okay. So if you're in Toronto or you're in the GTA, join us. There's some great films, lots of free industry sessions where you can learn about where people get money from and join the script reading series and hear people have their screenplays read from Los Angeles and from across Canada. So, I would say Toronto, Canada, or Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Okay. We just wanted to clarify, just in case if someone gets off the show and say, okay, we want to search it for ourselves. So we just wanted to clarify that, and you'll be able to go back and see it. You'll see it too as well on our side here in the U.S. So share with the audience how they can be able to connect with you if you would desire for them to follow you on any social media platforms or any books that you have published and written, or your next upcoming film. You can be able to share that as well. Okay, so I would say follow me and on the Female Eye on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. It's at Female Eye. That's FEMALEEYE. and L.A. Coles. So Leslie Ann L.A. Coles or Leslie Ann Coles on Facebook, Instagram. I have a handle as a poet. I write poetry and prose because it's quick and doesn't take as long as writing a screenplay, and I've always written it. So I have a handle on Instagram, which is Snow Girl Poet. So people can find some of my writing there.
Okay, wonderful. Leslie, we have had a ball with you on today. Okay, we have had very, very much fun. I love it. And so Women Who Rock with Success, you know where to go. Yes, absolutely. You know where to go to find our next upcoming guest. Our social media handles are Women Who Rock with Success Media. And so we want to thank everyone for being with us on today. So, Leslie, thank you once again, and everyone have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. Great meeting you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Absolutely.